Right, so here we are in the final chapter. In this chapter, I'm going to show you how to make your own camera, how to set up the animation so that you're going to have the correct stills for the sprite sheet and the render settings. Now, first thing you need to know is you have to make your own camera. And this camera is still a perspective camera. And you can tell by the projection setting it's at the perspective. Why am I not using isometric? I've noticed that while rendering that not all the volumetric lights are coming out every single frame, and just for instance the exhaust is just plopping out of the render. So I had to basically make a workaround. And what I've done is I've made my own camera, perspective camera, put it up to 45 degrees and minus 45 degrees, sorry, just to give it the right angle. And after that, I've used a field of view of 2 degrees. So there's hardly any perspective in it. Now, if you lose your spaceship, just push the H button. As long as you've got this set to 45 degrees and minus 45 degrees and you see your spaceship, you can still zoom in and out. The textures are doing funky stuff, but that's alright. It renders perfectly well. Now that's number one. Now you have to check the render settings. In the render settings, I've put the anti-aliasing to geometry. You don't really need that much anti-aliasing, not in the textures anyways. With the save, I've made it a PNG file, so it makes separate files, and I've flicked on the alpha channel and made it into a straight alpha. Your pictures are going to look horrible, but the alpha channel will take all the horrible stuff at the edge, take that away, and you won't blend it in with black, so you won't get a black line around your spaceship. Let's see, in the options I've got volumetric lighting on, blurriness is on, but doesn't do anything, and this is basically the render settings that you need. Now, in order to look through the camera, of course you have to have this one switched on, this little icon here next to the camera. And now we're going to make an animation of the, it's already set up of course, of the whole spaceship. I put everything in a group, and this group is very simple, animated with 2 keyframes. The first keyframe is at an angle. I like that better, but it doesn't really matter. In this case, it's 90. Now, there's actually 9 steps, so frame 8 is the last frame, starting with frame 0. And what you need to do is actually add 45 degrees for each setting. So the next one would be 135. Now, what you do is you Shift F3, it's a timeline menu, and here I have the 2 keyframes of my animation of the spaceship. Now you select these 2 and you set it to a step animation. It doesn't need any in-betweens. So you just put it to step. Once you have that animation track ready, then you go to its attributes, and after the last frame, which is frame 1, you give it an offset repeat and have at least 7 repetitions, no less. That means that at frame 8 it will be in the final frame. So now you get the full 360, and there's hardly any perspective in it. It is practically isometric, and now we can start rendering the stills. One more thing with the save, there's here something about padding. It doesn't say so, but it says name. If you choose name dot zeros dot extension, Windows will always find the right order. I didn't do it last time and it still took the correct order, but just in case. So I'm going to render it like that. And here we go. And it's really quick. Oh yeah, right. I've rendered it at 256 by 256. If you get odd numbers here, you probably have log ratio on. Of course, I rendered from frame 0 to frame 8. That's all logical. Now, the package I'm using for making a sprite sheet is called Texture Packer. Texture Packer, once you've got it all installed and you have the free version, you can actually drop your frames in here, and here you can actually basically say what kind of resolution you're going to pack up these images into a sprite sheet. Let's go to my ship, and here I got ship 0 and ship 8. This was my previous sequence, so that's why it is not selected now. So I only have 9 frames. And here we can basically say I can do 2048 or 1024. And obviously this is a pretty good size. I don't have any gaps in my sprite sheet. This is perfect. So now I'll go to File and say Publish Sprite Sheet, and it will ask me for a name. Actually here, sprite sheet, let's just call it Shippy, like I've done in previous occasions, and just do yes because I want to overwrite it, and now it's there. So once I go to textures, no, not textures, miscellaneous, where did I put it? Yeah, right here. This is my sprite sheet and it looks perfect. So this is the complete version. You see there's a lot of cutoff around the engine with the blue, but it will probably show once you put it in a game or something like that. This is the complete tutorial, and I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you make special effects and lots more spaceships, and I hope that it will look more interesting than this one because I just jammed it together.